Well, hello everybody out there, Internet Land. This is Chris from HHN with another exciting episode of Topher's Log. Been a little bit of a time before I've done one. Obviously, we all know that the event is not taking place this year. I had said that I was going to continue doing the videos where I'm going to systematically reveal my sort of fantasy events, which we're going to do 2 reveals today, one original, one IP. But before we get to that, I just want to do a little bit of house cleaning about... we'll start here. About 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with vertigo. Some of you all might remember that. I did a reaction video for, I believe it was Poltergeist, when they announced Poltergeist. And literally that day, I had the vertigo came, and it was it was kind of a weird day. It was a trip in an ambulance, and I was in the hospital for 2 days. At first, they thought I might have been having a heart attack, but they thought they might have been having a stroke. They did all sorts of tests, and they determined that it was vertigo. And at the time, they called it silent vertigo, meaning that they didn't know what triggered the vertigo. They just know that I had vertigo, but they didn't know what the trigger was. Because usually when you have vertigo, there's some kind of a trigger for it, but they couldn't figure it out. So, so it was silent vertigo it was. So about 2 weeks ago, I had a really bad vertigo attack. It sort of put me on my ass for about 4 days. I couldn't, it was, the vertigo symptoms, dizziness, nauseous, all that stuff. The symptoms have sort of subsided, but it has left me with a bad case of tinnitus in my left ear. And I have to go back to the ENT specialist, and I got to figure out, what's going on. Was it, could it be because of the vertigo? Is it because of something else? Or was the vertigo triggered by something else this time? They don't know. So, I have to go in a couple weeks to do that. So if I wasn't in the mental space to do videos before, during the pandemic and quarantine, I'm probably less motivated to do videos now because of all this. So I apologize if videos are not as prolific as they should be. Now, obviously, there is no event, so there's nothing. I'm going to still stay away from the speculation videos. I'm still not going to talk about the map, so there are plenty of other people that are talking about the speculation map out there, so you can go to their channels. I just don't play that game, so it is what it is. But we're going to move on from that. So the next series of videos, I've got stuff that I'm planning to do. I've got some history videos that I've been working on that, things sort of got put on hold because of the vertigo and because of the cancellation of the event, and other things and whatnot. And I'm actually scripting some of those, so that's taking me a little bit longer. Those of you who've been following me for a long time know that I do not script these, and if you even watch these videos, you know that I don't script them because I tend to ramble. But it is what it is. But anyway, so I have some of those videos that I'm working on that are going to take me a little bit longer. I'm still going to continue the Topher's Log HHN 30 playlist here, all the way through until the event, hopefully, next year, restarts, because it should still be HHN 30 no matter what. So this is still HHN 30, but we're gonna consider this like a little bit of an aside from HHN 30. So the next couple of videos that I do are going to be systematically revealing my sort of fantasy event, like I promised. So with that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into our first reveal. I have my notes again, my little descriptions. Now, also because of the vertigo stuff and whatnot, I did not have time to sort of work on art for this. And if you've seen the other videos, you know that I'm not really good at Photoshop anyway. I just kind of threw some graphics up there, some key art, if you will, for the houses. I didn't do any graphics for these two, so that's why I'm revealing 2 videos. So it might be a little bit, sort of pad out the video time, as it were, and sort of talk a little bit about what I want to do, my descriptions for the houses, and so on and so forth. So for the first house, we're going to go back to an original. So if you missed the first 2, I revealed 2 houses so far. Disco Helferno, which is about the disco vampire roller skating rink, retro roller skating rink throwback thingy there. And also the X-Files You Will Believe. That was the last thing I revealed. So we're going to go back to an original. You might see a pattern forming here over the next couple of videos with original and IP content. So for this first one, it's an original, and it is called The Visitors. And here's the official description. An innocent slumber party turns into a collective nightmare as a race of horrifying extraterrestrials have chosen this night for an abduction. However, this isn't an abduction for just experiments. These aliens are hungry, and they don't eat Reese's Pieces. They crave something a little more human, something a little more alive. Now, the sort of the antithesis or the inspiration for this house, you know, I'm wearing an alien shirt here today. I have the X-Files. I love sort of that realm of the paranormal, and I don't think that Horror Nights kind of utilizes that realm too much. We've had, you know, dabbles in the past, like you know, Interstellar Terror and Invasion, of course. But we don't really dabble in that too much. And I sort of like the extraterrestrial horror type of aspect as well. So this is the kind of inspiration for this is sort of Fire in the Sky a little bit, where, you know, it's not a great movie, but the abduction scenes in that film are really horrifying. So, you know, kind of envision that with, you know, the raid on the slumber party, and then, you know, I sort of picture going through the house and everything is all, you know, they're, you know, partying, and maybe they're watching a science fiction film on TV. And then there's like a room that you get to where like the house is flooded with light, and you have noise, and you have like, you know, things going on, you know, maybe a little bit of Close Encounters inspired things going, you know, off and stuff like that. And then you get to the sort of raiding aspect of the house, and maybe some people are being eaten there. You know, and then some people are being taken up to the spaceship. So it's kind of a mixture of, you know, walking through the house during the raid, and then also being on the ship, you know, after the raid as well. All the horrifying elements that take place on there, whether they're, you know, however they choose to eat their victims, whether that's cooking them or eating them alive. And even some people, some of the you know, maybe the fate worse than death people who are just basically being experimented on with all these you know, horrifying experiments going on the ship as well. So it's kind of the mentality that I had going with this. It's sort of I think a good example I can give you is sort of Fire in the Sky. That those abduction scenes in Fire in the Sky are kind of horrifying. Even though the film is not very good. I mean, there's a you know, Robert Patrick's running around in that movie. You know, it's kind of crazy, but you know, and it's kind of been lost to time at this point. Fire in the Sky, but just for those abduction scenes alone, those things are pretty terrifying. So that's kind of the inspiration for this. This particular one, I wrote or came up with the idea with about 3 or 4 years ago. I think after Invasion, when Invasion showed up at the as a scare zone, I kind of thought about this because I like that aspect too. The sort of you know, the sort of 50s science fiction B-film alien type thing as well. I like that aspect too. But for a house, I think more of a horrifying you know, terror-filled alien abduction situation. You know, and we really haven't seen that. At the event too, like an actual alien abduction type of thing. At least I don't recall. There might have been a house in there somewhere. Maybe was it Total Chaos? I guess back in 2000. I think that dealt with or was it another one that dealt with sort of alien abductions and experiments and stuff. Sort of X-Files inspired, if you will. But yeah. So that's The Visitors, and then this next one we're going to go back to an IP. This IP is another one that I've wanted to come to the event for a long time, but it's not sort of at the top to me. The top to me is still the X-Files. If it wasn't clear enough to people before, the X-Files is my favorite TV show of all time, and it is the house that I've been wanting them to do the most ever since I started going to Horror Nights. But of course, that ship has sailed. But this next IP is sort of one that I've wanted to see come, and they haven't. It's surprising to me they haven't mined this before, but it is what it is. So, Night of the Living Dead, George Romero's classic film. The George Romero classic comes to life. Walk through this night of terror in all its black and white glory. So, the idea here is that we do walk through the film, you know, typical sort of translation that Horror Nights does with their IP properties. However, I envision it being all black and white. So we know they've dabbled in that in the past, whether it's All Night Dying Take Two, where they did the sort of modern day monsters, and then they transitioned over to the classic monsters that were in all black and white. I really, that's like the driving force for this, is that if they are going to do Night of the Living Dead, it must be black and white, not color, don't colorize it. That's the only way that movie should be seen. And that is the only version of that film I think that we should be watching. Maybe the 1990s remake is not bad. But there's been because Night of the Living Dead is like in a public domain space or whatever, so there's like countless knockoffs and ripoffs of that film. But this is the original classic, George Romero. You start in the cemetery and you sort of go through the film's plot. So that's really self-explanatory. But the biggest thing for me is that if this house was to come, or in my fantasy event, it would be a black and white house. So everything is black and white. The sets, the costumes, the characters, everything is black and white, no color, because that's the way the movie should be seen. And that's the way we should be walking to the house, is in complete black and white. So I think that's going to do it for today. So we'll quickly go over. So we have 4 houses revealed for my sort of fantasy event. We have Disco Inferno. We have the X-Files, You Will Believe. We have The Visitors, which we revealed today. And we also have Night of the Living Dead in all its black and white glory coming to my fantasy Halloween Horror Nights event for Halloween Horror Nights 2020. Because Halloween Horror Nights 2020 is canceled. Halloween's not canceled, guys. We might not have all these haunts to go to, but Halloween still lives on. It is a spirit. It is what it is. But yeah, so that's going to be it. Like I said, don't be surprised if some of these videos are a little bit slow because, I'm still trying to deal with the ringing and the vertigo and stuff and whatnot. It is what it is. I can't do too much about it until I go to the doctor, and they didn't have an appointment for almost a week and a half because we're still in the midst of the coronavirus. So that is, that is a thing. And I don't have the Rona, full disclosure. I did have to get a test when all this was going on, and it was negative. So at least, the test says it wasn't the Rona, so it's something else, and we'll see how that goes. But anyway, so that's my fantasy event so far. The next video, I may reveal our first scare zone of the event. I kind of like the scare zones this year because I don't really, or the ones that I've come up with. Because when it comes to what I usually write, scare zones aren't the ones that I usually go to first. I have a couple here and there, a couple ideas for scare zones that I've had to flesh out during all this because I don't really have much to go on in terms of giving you guys stuff. So there's that. So that's it. That's my event. Hang in there, guys. Horror Nights will be here. Tribute store's still open. There's a lot of stuff I didn't. My stuff is washing right now, so I don't have anything really to show you. I do have some of the throwback shot glasses that I bought for this year. This is the Halloween Horror Nights 2000 shot glass. Hopefully my beard didn't rub on the mic there. I'll find out in post. But anyway, that's going to be it for me. And I'll talk to you guys later.